Burlington.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump says the Iranian leadership is well aware of what it must do to bring peace to Iran, avoiding the prospect of even greater destruction to come. The president's deadline for attacks on Iran's infrastructure is drawing closer now. It's 8 o'clock tonight. Terrorist targeted an Israeli diplomatic outpost in Turkey. Gunmen attacked a building housing the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. It sparked a gunfight. It left one terrorist dead, 2 police officers wounded, 2 other attackers were captured. Presidential congrats to the crew of the Artemis II mission for its record-setting trip around the far side of the moon. President Trump called the astronauts who have traveled deeper into space than any others. Crew now on its way back home, due back on Earth on Friday. Dow futures down 229 points. NASDAQ futures off 156. More details, srnnews.com.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
Today we'll start with some easterly winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour, some clouds and freezing fog and drizzle. Areas to the north and temperatures around freezing. This afternoon will become partly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s. Winds will turn to the south and become breezy at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Tonight continues to be breezy with some clouds, lows in the low 40s. And then tomorrow, a front will push through during the early afternoon, turning winds from the southwest to the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs will be around 75 with chances for scattered showers and storms in areas south and east of a line from Tribune to Hill City. Overnight lows will be in the upper 30s. Thursday and Friday, an upper-level trough and front will move through with chances for showers and storms Thursday evening through Friday morning. Highs Thursday will be in the 70s, dropping into the upper 50s and low 60s on Friday, and lows will be in the upper 30s. This is meteorologist Chris Romick of the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They eat and have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
We've been serving ag families for generations because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
You ready? One, two, three, four!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Cowgirls hunting them, and they're finding them. Stargell with another 3.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank, Epoxy, Quinter and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work.
Cano 3, top of the key, got it. Oh, the 3. Cano looks to the bench and stalks up the floor. The first made 3 of the game for Michigan. Quickly ahead to Lindeborg. Lindeborg on the run, end to end. No, but a tip jam is there. Ronnie Gale Jr. flying out of nowhere. Hammers it home. And Brumfield drives it to left center field on the run. Myers can't get to it. It's going to score 2. TJ digging for his first major league triple. He's in there standing. On the move to the left corner. Sends it back up top to Ball. Ball contested 3 on the left wing.
Oh,
banks it home.
man.
Ball banks it home on the left wing.
And it's over. Hail to the champions. Hail to Michigan. For the first time in 37 years, the Wolverines win the national title.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. We are back here on the Morning Blitz. As always, on Rocket 102.5, KLOE, NWKSradio.net, on your mobile device or online. And, of course, the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on YouTube, Facebook, X. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Tuesday, April the 7th. Another sports season is in the books. The college basketball season came to an end last night, as you just heard. Michigan winning the men's basketball national championship, 69-63, the final, over the what seemed like at times unbeatable Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies last night from Indianapolis. Man, what a year for the Big Ten Conference. If you think about it, it has been it's a great time to be Tony Petitti, who is the leader, of course, of the Big Ten Conference. It's the first conference ever to win football, men's basketball, and women's basketball national titles in the same academic year with 3 different schools. Now, I know that the Big Ten, and like a lot of conferences, has changed over the course of even my lifetime of 30-plus years now. But still, quite an accomplishment, and what a time it is to be Tony Petitti. I mean, that was a big thing for the Big Ten to win one in basketball. They had not won a national championship in the Big Ten Conference since 2000 until last night. I think it was Michigan State that got it done back in 2000. So it had been, 26 years, obviously, since that had been done. For Michigan, it's their first championship since your boy was born, 1989. I wasn't even quite born yet, to be honest with you, just about, a month away or so. So I was negative a month at the absolute most. But congratulations to Michigan, national champions of college basketball. More on that in just a minute. But glad you're with us on this Tuesday. A chilly start to the day outside today. Right now, currently overcast skies and 29 degrees outside the doors of the KLOE studio here in Goodland. Going to warm up today. We'll get into temperatures in the upper 60s. It was the wind yesterday was a nice day for most, but then it got in the evening time and the wind picked up out of the northeast, and that really cooled things off we do little kids youth track here in Goodland with my kids, and we were out there for practice, and it's quite chilly, to say the very least, yesterday. But today, I think, going to be a little bit warmer. Doesn't look like we're going to see as much of the wind here this afternoon. Northeast breeze around 10 to 15 with highs in the upper 60s. That wind could shift to the southeast here this afternoon. And then tonight, lower 40s, south winds around 10 to 15. And then we get to kind of maybe, possibly, once again, we will see the chances of precipitation pick up here a little bit starting on Wednesday. We're seeing a 20% chance of rain on Wednesday with highs in the low 70s. Another 20% chance Wednesday night and Thursday with temperatures in the 70s. May not be much there, but starting Thursday night and going into Saturday, even Sunday, honestly, there is some chances of the wet stuff. Anywhere from around a 40% chance up to what looks to be a 70% chance, the best chance of precipitation, looking like it might be coming around Saturday. We'll see about that. But that's what's on the docket for weather-wise. But still, temperature is going to be in the 70s, it looks like, most of the coming week, 60s and 70s, but maybe a chance of some precipitation in the evening hours. Gosh, I hope so. I did notice this morning when I got up and looked outside, I did notice on my cement there was a little bit of what looked like some precipitation, a few drops here or there, but not very much as expected. So once again, right now, 29 and overcast skies right now, making our way to a high in the upper 60s here on this Tuesday, April the 7th. FB Bank text line open at 785-899-2222. If you want to be part of the Morning Blitz here today, would love to hear from you. Get your thoughts, your comments, your questions, opinions in throughout the show. Would love for you to be a part of this day's program. Christian Saez is our guest today from DNVR Rockies. The Rockies coming off a massive, I think it was fifth inning last night, 8-run fifth inning to beat the Astros in that series opener. We'll talk about Rockies, talk about the start of the Major League Baseball season. We'll touch on some other things with our good friend Christian Saez of DNVR Rockies coming up here in our second segment. We'll get to the Rockies and Royals, who both did win yesterday. It's a busy day in local sports on the diamond as well, with lots of local baseball and softball being played today. We'll get to all that coming up in today's show. We'll also hear later on in this first segment touch on the portal news of the day yesterday, and boy, there was plenty of it, particularly if you are a KU and K-State basketball fan. There was a lot of portal news that came out over the past 24 hours. So we'll get to all that coming up. But once again, starting things off, recapping with Michigan winning the men's national title yesterday over UConn 69-63, a game where officially Michigan led for 75% of the game, or a good, really almost for the entire game they led. It felt like UConn had a little bit of a lead there at one point in time in the first half, but it was mostly Michigan who was really, really good last night. The thing about the game last night stood out to me is that UConn knew they had to play a certain way. They knew it. They were like, we have to absolutely slow this game down, muck it up, make it ugly. The over-under was 144. And they did hit, they were on the under on that. And if they were going to have a chance to win UConn, they were going to have to hit that under. They were going to have to keep it lower scoring, lower possessions, that kind of game if they were going to have a chance against Michigan. And to UConn's credit, they did that. I mean, they kept the game uglier. They had long offensive possessions. They did a really good job defensively making Michigan work for it. But there were just some things that just didn't really go UConn's way. They got in some foul trouble. If you didn't watch the game, they got into some foul trouble, had multiple guys with 2 fouls going into halftime, multiple guys that had 3 early in the second half. With all those fouls, Michigan got to the foul line, and Michigan made their free throws. I mean, that was, I always talk about how, you got to make shots and you got to get stops. When you get into March Madness, one thing else you got to do is you got to make free throws, because games are going to come down to it's going to be close games and you're going to get fouled. Can you make your foul shots down the stretch to hold your lead? Michigan made their free throws. 25 of 28, they went to the foul line last night. And that offset the fact that they had a horrible night shooting from 3. An absolutely horrific night from three where they went just 2 of 15. I told you Michigan wasn't a very good three-point shooting team. I say that now with a smile on my face. But no, Michigan didn't shoot the three ball very well. UConn was great defensively on them on the perimeter. The problem is Michigan has just got a ton of size and a ton of skill with that size, and it made it very hard for UConn on both ends of the floor. But defensively for UConn, they couldn't stop Mara and those guys inside from getting to the bucket at times, even though they made it very difficult to finish. Michigan got to the rack. And then particularly on the offensive, when Michigan was on the defensive end and UConn was on the offensive end, UConn was trying to get to the basket, trying to score, and just the athleticism and the length of UConn just seemed to block almost everything in their way. I don't even know what the block total was for Michigan. Six blocks last night. It was great. And, but UConn wins the rebounding battle, but UConn wins the 3-point shooting battle. But at the same time, that free throw shooting 25 of 28 from the foul line. When you go to the line and you make your free throws, you're going to have a great chance to win. And that is what Michigan did last night. So they hit their free throws. I think UConn kept it close with their pace of play and the ability to knock down a few three-pointers, although UConn would have loved to have gotten about 3 or 4 more. They had a couple of them that were really close that just didn't go in. I mean, it was interesting because, we're within inside a minute, and I think it was a 6-point game, and there was a chance for Caravan for UConn to go out there and knock down a 3, and, it came up short. And, I don't know, it's the physicality of Michigan just kind of wore down UConn enough to get the edge. I mean, give credit to UConn, though. They played their guts out. I didn't think they were going to be in this spot this year after kind of watching the season that they had in the regular season. But as I mentioned in yesterday's show, Dan Hurley has a way of getting his team to play its best when it matters the most. But it's UConn that wins the national championship for the first time since 1989. They get it done, giving the Big Ten their first natty since 2000. Lots of interesting stats for sure. The one question that I had, they become the first national title, first team to win a national championship with five transfers in the starting 5, which, by the way, that's only going to grow. I mean, that's only going to grow. More guys are going to transfer, and coaches are going to have the opportunity to put your team in the best position to have success. More on that in just a minute. Speaking of a coach that did that'd be Dusty May. Dusty May wins a national championship in just his second season at Michigan, a lot like Curt Cignetti over at Indiana for football. Dusty May in 2 seasons, 64-13 in overall record, 33-7 in conference play. He has the winningest season in Michigan basketball history. And of course, he wins Big Ten tournament year, 2026 Big Ten Coach of the Year, and 2026 national champion. The Wolverines, by the way, were 8-24 the season before Dusty May joined, which once again, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, depending on what perspective you want to look at it. By watching what we've seen Curt Cignetti and Dusty May do these last couple of years, it's a great thing because if you're a fan of any team, you're only a year or 2 away from your team winning the national championship. If you can put together the right team, because the rules allow you to completely gut your squad and build the right way and put it back together the next year and have a chance to go win a national championship. Every team has a chance to do that because of the portal. That's the cool thing, I guess, and also the bad thing too, but it's probably the cool thing. But from a coach's perspective, you have to hate this because no longer are the runways 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years long, no matter what sport you're coaching, because coaches have proven that you can get it done in 2 years. You can flip the script just like that. And so coaches have to hate the fact of seeing guys like Dusty May and Curt Cignetti go out there and win national championships in a 2-year span with programs that were really struggling before. Michigan in the short term, really doing bad underneath Juwan Howard. Indiana in the long term for decades. They've been the doormat of the Big Ten. So that's got to make, no matter what fan base you are, if you're a Kansas fan, a K-State fan, Doesn't matter what fan you might be of any school across the country. If you get the coach in the right position and he gets the right players in the right spot to have success, you have a chance of winning a national championship in a short period of time. You do. In today's college basketball, because you can bring in a whole new team and put together. But as we've seen in Manhattan, for example, you can bring in a brand new team every single year, but that's not going to mean that you're going to find success. In fact, it means you could absolutely fall flat on your face. And this is where coaches earn these massive paychecks that we see them given every time a new coach is hired. Coaches have to become, it used to be coaches need to be great recruiters. You need to be able to go out and be able to not only look at the talent and say, I like these guys, but then convince them to come to your school and be there with them for the next how many years, depending on what sport it is. Now it's about going out and looking at all the film and all the players and knowing what you see in that player, what you can do to help that player, to get this player to come play for you, give them enough money to convince them to come play for you, thanks to your whatever, your NIL budget or whatever it might be, collective. And so you need to be an unbelievable talent evaluator, and you have to be an unbelievable coach in convincing guys to do things maybe they didn't do before. Maybe it's a star player that needs to become a pass first point guard. Maybe it's a guy who only is maybe a defensive guy, but you need to develop him into becoming a great shooter from the outside to add something to the team. Finding those pieces and putting the puzzle together. There are tons of pieces out there in the portal. I think I saw there's and more on this in just a minute, there's 400 some odd pieces in the portal already, and that number is going to double and triple as the portal opens today in college basketball alone. It's about going out and saying, we need this, and we're going to bring it in, and we need this and this and this. What is going to fit, and can we get all these pieces to fit together? Because if you can fit the pieces together of these puzzle pieces from other puzzles, if you can bring them all together and put it together, you have a chance of winning a national championship in a very quick span. Dusty May has proved that. Kurt Signetti has proved that. It's been impressive to watch. And like I said, great for fans of certain teams because you could be only a year or two away. Bad for coaches because you don't have the luxury of building a team on the short. You've got to be able to go out there and get things done. Got to be able to go out there and get things done. Let's see here. Let's go to the F&B Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Jared H. chiming in says, is the transfer portal championship formula sustainable? I think first of all, Jared, I think, like I said a little bit ago, I think you're going to see more teams go out there and win national championships with with guys on the starting five that didn't get recruited to that school and they come in and play. I think you're going to continue to see that. There's just too much movement not to have it happen more. Just look at what happened to Kansas yesterday. We'll get to that in just a second, but there's a lot of really good pieces in the portal from Kansas. Now, who knows? Maybe they'll come back, but maybe they won't. And so there's just so much movement. And if you can convince the right group of guys to come together and play together as one, you have a great chance of winning that. And with guys sticking around in college a lot longer because they're making money and not wanting to go play in front of minuscule crowds in the G League and over in Europe because they're not a top 2 round lottery pick or something like that in the NBA, they're sticking around. And so teams are a lot older than they have been in college basketball. And so, the portal, I think it has to be sustainable. But you've got to find, by the same okay, and he's texting again. He says, by the same program, is it sustainable? I think it is if you have the right coach. We're going to find out, Jared, that's for sure. We've seen here in the short term, like we said before, Indiana and Michigan going out there and finding those pieces and putting them together and having them win a national championship. We'll see if Indiana can continue to do that in the coming years, if Michigan can continue to do that. I don't, how sustainable it is, I don't know. That's a great question, Jared. We're going to have to figure that out over the course of the next few years, how sustainable it is. I think if you're going to become a really good program, consistently, you're going to have to learn how to bring in talent or portal talent and develop them and make them into a single team. You're going to have to get really good at that. I feel like, for example, at Kansas State, they were on this idea where we got to bring in a new team every single year. The problem is the pieces just never fit together. You got to find the pieces that not only are talented, but that they're going to fit together and play together. Part of that's on the players. Part of it is on the coaches there as well. Kyle, FP Bank text line, 785-899-2222. KU fan here, Ross. If you're a player at KU, besides money, why would you ever leave KU or any other blue blood? Does the history of a program or the pedigree of these programs not matter anymore to these players of the game today? If not, what do we have to do to bring some normalcy back to college sports? By the way, just to kind of expand upon Kyle's thought here, if you didn't see the news yesterday, tons of portal movement for Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas, with more than K-State, really announced yesterday. Kansas announced that they will be losing not only Flory Badunga, which we heard last week, but Elmarco Jackson, Bryson Tiller, and Paul Mbia are all going into the portal. Now, once again, we could see these guys come back after they test the waters, but they are all going into the portal with Flory Badunga. Bryson Tiller is a guy you would have loved to have had back. Same for Elmarco Jackson. And Mbia came on good late for Kansas. So I'm sure Bill Self would love to have all those guys come back, but they want to test the portal waters and see what they can get. I'm guessing more when it comes to money. And for some, maybe a little bit more of a different role. And maybe, who knows, but money is usually the big thing. And Kansas State, by the way, PJ Haggerty's entering the portal. No surprise. He'll be at his, fourth school in 4 years next year. But there is some stability, not a lot of surprise. Andre Kostic said he will return next season for Kansas State. He is being brought back by new coach Casey Alexander. That was the portal news from yesterday on the men's side of things. But back to Kyle's question. I mean, if you're a KU player, besides money, why would you ever leave KU? I think that's if it's not the only reason, it is the biggest reason, and I bet it's about 90 to 95%. The only other reason why you would leave a program like KU or any blue blood there, Kyle, is the fact that you went there and you aren't getting the playing time that you were hoping for. That's got to be the other reason why. Because you went there and you were hoping to make an impact and you didn't. And so now you're not doing that. And so you want to go to a place where you're going to be able to play. You want to get on the floor and play. You know, like a guy like Cole Rosario, for example. Cole Rosario was a guy who played a little bit for Kansas here. Didn't play a ton, but he would have a chance. He'd be a guy that kind of season that you saw Cole Rosario had. That's the kind of player that you'd be like, well, we're going to go and go somewhere else and take my talent someplace else and see if I can play a little bit more. Now it has not been announced that Cole Rosario was going to leave. He is still in the fold there at KU, but money is the biggest thing driving this. I mean, every year you get a chance to reset what you make every year. So let's just say, for example, Flory Badunga is a great example. Flory was highly recruited out of high school. He comes to Kansas. Has a solid freshman year. Not great, a solid freshman year. He goes in the portal to see what kind of money he can get. Kansas brings him back with the best offer that he received, and so he's back for his second year. KU develops him really good in year number 2. He becomes the defensive player in the year of the Big 12. Guess what? Flory's thinking, I can make even more money now. I'm going to put my name in the portal. That is why you put your name in the portal, is to see what team is willing to go out there, and instead of maybe only making $750K, you're making $1.25 million. Who's willing to give me that extra $100,000, that extra $500,000? Who knows? Maybe even overpay me. That's the other thing, as a coach, in today's era, you got to be able to pay the players in the right form, because you only have so much money to use. So you got to be able to pay the players in the right spot, in the right form, in the right amount, so that you're not just, you're not like Kentucky where you're throwing $20 million out the door, but you only get a first round win in the tournament. You should have gotten a lot more for that kind of money. You didn't get great return on investment on that. But yeah, if I'm a KU fan, it's a frustrating time, because you're used to the fact that you used to be able to go out and get the best players. and they'd stay and they develop and you'd make great teams and be competing for national championships. And now everyone is going out and spending money. Everyone is going out there and being able to offer players better scenarios. I mean, yeah, Kansas has great facilities. There's lots of other great facilities, but it just doesn't matter to kids anymore. It's about how much money can I have in my wallet. That's what it's about. As long as I can play, and first of all, actually, I think it's sometimes even less. Can I make good money? And if I can play, even better. So it's a very, I don't love college sports the way it is. I don't like it at all. Michael, FB Bank text line, sucks they want to leave, but Coach Self will reload and it'll all be swell. Rock chalk. Yeah, Bill Self has proven he can put some teams together. I didn't know he'd have to do this much retooling, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see what he comes up with this year for Bill Self. And here's the thing. Just because a guy goes in the portal does not mean that he will not come back. I mean, he could stick his name out in the portal and get a few offers from who knows where, but it may not be what is good as where he was, and he could come back. So just because they're in the portal does not mean that they cannot come back, but they are definitely testing the waters to see what kind of money can I make if I just stick my name out there and let people know that I'm interested in going someplace else. Pretty much that's all it is. Just like, hey, just want to let you know. I mean, it's kind of like going on a dating app, and just sticking your profile and face out there, just kind of seeing what I can get. Even though you might have a significant other back at home, you're just like, well, I just want to see what kind of person could I get if I put my profile picture out here. That's kind of what it's like in the transfer portal. I've got a great place here in Kansas, but I'm going to stick my name out in the portal and see if I can make some more money, get a better deal. Sometimes you're going to get it. Sometimes you're not. We'll see what happens in the coming week. But the portal does open today, and already lots of movement for Kansas schools at Kansas and Kansas State. Okay, let's get to our first break. When we come back, Christian Saez will join us from DNVR Rockies. We'll talk about the first few days of the MLB baseball season with him next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on this Tuesday.
When fraud strikes, every second counts. At FNB Bank, we take your security seriously. Our local team monitors for suspicious activity and responds fast, so small issues don't turn into bigger problems. I'm Jessica Von Little at FNB Bank. We are your first line of defense, protecting you, your money, and your peace of mind. FNB Bank, local, trusted, here for you. Member FDIC.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with Skyland Grain. Today is Tuesday, April 7th. Grains mixed on the overnight. May corn lower 3/4 at 4.53. July down 3/4 at 4.64 1/4. September unchanged at 4.68 1/4. December corn down 1/4 at 4.82 1/2. May soybeans up 3 1/4 at 11.68. July up 3 at 11.84 1/2. August up 2 1/2 at 11.78 3/4. September up 1 1/2 at 11.57 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the May contract lower 3 1/2 at 6.04 3/4. July down 3 1/4 at 6.20 1/2. September down 3 at 6.35. December hard wheat down 3 1/2 at 6.53 3/4. Chicago wheat, the May contract lower 2 1/4 at 5.93 1/2. July down 3 at 6.04. September down 3 1/4 at 6.17. December soft wheat down 3 cents at 6.35. On the equity side of things this morning, the Dow down $131 at 46,770. The S&P down 25 at 6,626. The Nasdaq down 134 at 24,224. Gold lower almost $6 an ounce at 4,678. Crude oil up $2.53 at $114.89. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, you can call our Colorado office. That's John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. You can hit our Kansas City office, Tyler Ghosh, Tom Pluto, or Jared Law at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Foley Rental is your locally owned equipment.
Custom blends that allow you to extend your UAN supply while providing essential sulfur to your crop. Thiosulfates also protect your nitrogen investment by reducing losses through both nitrate leaching and denitrification, keeping more nitrogen available for your corn. Protect your nitrogen investment and increase yields with KTS and Thiosol. Call your local ag dealer today or visit TessenderLocurley.com.
Quick hits, bold takes, and all the action.
I'll take that action.
Welcome back to the Morning Blitz.
All right, continue to move along here on the Morning Blitz on this Tuesday. About 20 minutes till the top of the hour. Long first segment there. Once again, 29 degrees, overcast skies to begin our day, making our way up to around the upper 60s here on the high plains. We welcome into the program our good friend from DNVR Rockies, Christian Saez. Good morning, sir. How are we doing today?
Good. A little bit warmer than you guys. 29 sounds pretty tough. We've been sitting around the 70s here in Denver, so it's been pretty nice, but happy to be on the show with you.
Are you a big skier guy? Do you like to go out in the mountains and do some skiing? Are you one of those type of guys, Christian?
I used to. When I was in college, I went to college here up in the mountains in Colorado, and we were 30 minutes from Crested Butte Ski Resort. Loved going skiing back then, but now I got a lot of work going on, and skiing happens less and less often the older I get.
That's right. I thought I read. Did you go to Western State? Is that right?
I did. Yeah, highest collegiate program in the country.
How about that football stadium they built here the last couple of years?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. See, it's funny because I remember, Austin Eckler actually came out of Western State, Colorado, if you remember him.
Yep.
Started out with the Chargers, but he was there when I was starting out at Western, and so I actually got to broadcast those football games where he was playing. And back then they didn't have the nice stadium. It felt like they were playing in like a high school stadium. So
it was worse. It was worse than some high school stadiums. You got to admit, it was bad.
It was really bad. But it's a nice facility now. They put a lot more money into it. So always fun to see that kind of change.
That's one of my favorite Colorado towns is Gunnison. I love Gunnison, Colorado. Awesome town.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful. Beautiful in the summer. It's great skiing in the winter. It's a good spot.
Yeah. Whiskey State, for those who don't know what else. You also call it Whiskey State from time to time. So Christian Saez is our guest, DNVR Rockies. Christian, before we get into baseball a little bit, what were your thoughts on Michigan winning the national championship? I'm sure you had to watch some of that last night.
I did, and I was a little bit bummed this tournament because my Gonzaga Bulldogs took an early exit this year around, which it feels like happens almost every single year for Gonzaga. But I actually had Michigan to win the whole thing, so I was pleased.
Nice.
I think UConn, great team, but Michigan. And the reason I thought that is because I watched them against Gonzaga early in the year, in a game in which they beat Gonzaga by like 40. And I just remember watching and feeling like, yeah, this team's legit. So yeah, I think the right team won the national championship for sure.
What do you make? The topic of the first segment on our show today was kind of about, the thoughts of coaches getting quick turnarounds done. Dusty May's done it in 2 years at Michigan. Kurt Cignetti did it 2 years at Indiana. What are your thoughts on quick turnarounds for new coaches, to go from, bad teams to all of a sudden national championship winners?
Well, it's funny because, we in Rockies world for Major League Baseball, albeit different than college, are hoping for a pretty quick turnaround on our end. But I think it speaks to the volatility of college sports right now, whether for better or worse. It's a byproduct of an active transfer portal, a league in which there's a lot of money bouncing around between different schools, And so it makes sense. I think a lot of it has to do with just the right fit. If a college coach can come in and not only have, a good amount of money and NIL money in place to offer their players, but also have the right resources in recruiting. I mean, look at what happened with CU. He just here in Colorado a couple of years ago. Coach Prime, arguably one of the best recruiters, just raw recruiters in the country before NIL, comes over to CU and takes that team to a bowl game after they were one of the worst college football programs in the sport, and had a Heisman, one of the best college football player, and Travis Hunter on the team. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's possible, but it does speak to just how crazy college sports is right now.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Christian Saya is our friend from DNVR Rockies. It was a rocky start to the season, getting swept by the Marlins. Although the Marlins kind of got off to a great start this year because of that. But then you bounce back with taking 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays in Toronto. Then you lose 2 of 3 to the Phillies. So right now, for those who haven't followed, 4-6 for the Rockies to begin the season. What's the thought? What's the early takeaway from these first 10 games?
Well, Ross, last year, we kind of compare this year to
right, because last year it was
right?
June before they won their first series, and they got it done in the second one of the season.
It took them 21 games to win 4 games last year, and this year they've done it in 10. And so, just by that metric alone, it feels like you're not going to be a world beater by any means. You're not going to be this. You talk about quick turnarounds. The Rockies aren't going to go anywhere this year, but the hope for the organization, the franchise, a franchise that historically has operated extremely dysfunctionally for the last 10 plus years. Your hope is that you can start to build some competence. We like to say on our show, you're raising the floor, right? You're not getting up to the highest peaks yet, but you're raising the floor so that you're not losing games in ways that you shouldn't be. You're going to get beat plenty of times this year because you're just not as good as the Dodgers and the Phillies and hell, even the Marlins. But if you can raise the floor to be able to sneak some of those wins out, to be able to look a little bit more competent, then you can start to build on that in the years ahead. So I actually think, despite a couple bad losses, the Marlins are a good team. That was a tough way to start the year, but I think that was understandable. They were all 1-run games too. So, the Rockies were very much in those games. I think it's been a good start for what we were expecting. This month of April for the Rockies, by the way, they're playing every single team for the month of April that has a above 500 record last year. And pretty much every single team was a playoff team within the last 2 years. I mean, it's the Phillies, the Astros, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Blue Jays. It's just an absolute gauntlet in the month of April. So I think for the expectations we have, this has been a good start.
I feel like as if we've seen some really good stuff from some young guys, whether it be Troy Johnston or TJ Rumfield. I mean, there have been some guys that have really gone up to the plate and been able to put the ball in play, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, and the hitting has been the biggest concern, right? Pitching, which is funny because pitching is usually the concern when you're talking about the Rockies, but pitching has actually been really good this year to start for the most part. You've had a couple bad outings. Michael Lorenzen gave up 8, I think, in the first inning of our opening day, which stung. But by and large, the bullpen has been good. Rockies pitching has been pretty good, but the offense has just been so stagnant. It's the highest whiff rate in baseball by a large margin, highest strikeout rate. It's not looked good. And so those lone bright spots that you see in the lineup, TJ Rumfield, like you mentioned, a guy who just got traded from the Yankees last year to the Rockies, and then Troy Johnston, another guy you just mentioned. He had a great night last night in their win against the Astros. Those 2 bright spots have been really nice to see because it gives you a little bit of hope, especially for this new front office, right? These are guys that weren't on the roster last year, and the new front office came in and said, hey, we're not going to change the world here, but we're going to fill some gaps. We're going to bring some guys in that can be consistent, and that's exactly what they did. It's been refreshing to see, I think, the right guys stepping up to the plate and having some good moments.
Ezequiel Tovar, we know it. I think we knew when he came up was going to be a very special player for Colorado, and some injuries have kind of derailed that, but he's off to a really good start, it feels like, here in 2026.
Yeah, and he's a guy that has to be, right? You gave him that contract. I think it was just shy of $100 million for about 6 years, if I remember correctly, coming out of just pretty much 3 games played in the big leagues just a couple of years ago. And so you expect him to be a cornerstone of this franchise. And he's 23 years old. He's very young. He's still technically before his prime. you need him to be good. We know his defense is great. He's a Gold Glove shortstop, the youngest National League Gold Glove shortstop ever. But his bat has always been the question, right? He's never been the guy that's going to hit you 50 home runs or get on base all the time. He strikes out a lot. But if he can kind of build that consistency, which we've seen early in the year, we saw it in the WBC as well with Team Venezuela, I think he's going to be a big player for the Rockies moving forward. He's had a good start to his season. There's a couple other guys on this young Rockies team that also, similar to Tovar, really need to have a good 2026 if the Rockies are going to eventually turn this corner.
Who are those guys, in your opinion?
Chase Dollander has to be the number one, in my opinion, because he was your number one draft pick out of Tennessee a couple years ago. He came in the same draft class as Paul Skeens. And I remember I was actually talking to Walker Monfort, who's the son of Dick Monfort, the owner of the franchise, and he's the executive vice president. And he was telling me, he was like, hey, we drafted Chase Dollander in the same round or in the same realm as Paul Skeens. They were in the same draft class. A lot of people kind of evaluated those two very similar. They've got 100-mile-an-hour fastball with really good off speed, great starting pitching. And you know what Paul Skeens has done, right? And Chase Dollander has struggled to get to that spot. He was like, but they have largely similar style stuff. And he was like, and so our job needs to be to find ways to get the most out of Chase Dollander. He's like, he was saying, he's like, I felt like we kind of failed him last year, right? We didn't provide enough resources for him to get the most out of his stuff. And that's why they went on this big hiring spree this offseason to build their pitching staff, to build their data and analytics department, to build their development core, so that you can go get the most out of guys like Chase Dollander, who you need to be successful if this franchise is going to go anywhere. And so far, Chase, he had an iffy start in Toronto in a game in which they were, and it wasn't a start, actually, it was out of the bullpen, but in a game in which they were winning by a lot at that point. But he came in at Coors Field, which was a huge question mark. He came in at Coors Field against the Phillies the other day and went 4 innings. I think he only gave up 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. It was a great outing from him. He's pitching out of the bullpen right now to kind of build that confidence up before he gets put back into the starting rotation. So he absolutely needs to have a good season.
Christian Saez, our guest from DNVR Rockies, joins us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. You mentioned the pitching staff has been better than expected, and the way it has been in the previous years for Colorado. Why do you think early on it has been that way?
I think it's a different approach, and again, it goes back to what Walker was telling me about Chase. I think in the past, the Rockies have been operating in a kind of bare minimum capacity, and I think they've always written off pitching at Coors Field too, because pitching at Coors Field is tough. And I think in the past administrations, they've kind of just shrugged their shoulders like, hey, we're going to do our best, but it's just something we have to deal with. And this new administration has come in and said, we want to use this to our advantage. It's obviously not going to be an advantage, but we think we can really get the most out of this. And so attacking the zone, putting the ball in play, not trying to pitch around guys, not trying to get too fancy with it. We saw Tomoyuki Sugano, who's a pitcher, just came over from the Orioles. He pitched for Team Japan this year in the WBC, and he's had the 2 best starts out of the starting rotation for the Rockies this year. And he doesn't have blow away stuff. He doesn't have 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He has 6 pitches that he can locate really well, and he dominated for 6 innings against the Phillies. So I think they're starting to realize, what the equation might be at Coors Field. And I think as the years go on, they're just going to start gathering all this data that they're getting from this team right now, and they're going to start putting that into play. And I think we're going to start seeing some good things.
Christian, I'll let you go on this. I wanted to get your thoughts. It's only 10 games in, but what are your thoughts on the ABS system that we've seen thus far? Have you liked it, not like it? What are your thoughts?
Man, as a fan, you love it and you hate it, right? I was watching their game against the Phillies the other day, and there was one inning where I think Hunter Goodman had a couple challenges that went the Rockies' way, and it completely changed the inning. I think there was a 3-2 count that was called ball 4, and Hunter challenged. It ended up being strike 3, and that would have been a leadoff walk otherwise, right? That changes the complexity of the entire inning. You love to see it when that happens. That's why it was brought out. And then when you're on the other side of that, you absolutely hate it. You feel like you lost the nuance of the game. But no, realistically, I think it's an absolute bonus for the game of baseball. I think it needed to happen. I'd like to see them do a little bit more. I don't know if this is maybe the final product. Maybe they tweak it a little bit in the future. Maybe you add add an extra challenge. I don't know what that looks like. But I think it absolutely is a good addition to the game of baseball. It's making the game better. And that's all that matters.
Has it had any impact in your opinion when it comes to the pace of the play of the game?
I haven't noticed it too much. I was worried about that because, the Major League Baseball spent a lot of time making changes to speed the game up. Fans, were pretty clear that they wanted quicker games, and Major League Baseball did that with the pitch clock and other things. But I was worried that it was going to slow things down a little bit too much, especially if guys kept challenging and, every challenge that you win, you retain. And so I was like, if there's an umpire that's just really struggling that day, we're going to get like 10 challenges and it's just going to bring the game to a halt. And I haven't seen that for the most part. I think there's been a couple. I think there was a C.B. Buckner game the other day that was, like 8 challenges or something like that. But, for the most part, it's been pretty solid. So I think it's a good nuance for now. Like I said, I don't know if they need to make adjustments in the future, and they might. They very well might. But for what it is right now in its inaugural season, I think it's working great.
Christian, thank you so much for the time, my friend. We'll do it again soon. Have a great one.
Appreciate it, Ross. We'll talk to you soon.
Once again, great stuff there. Christian Saez, our friend from DNVR Rockies, joining us here on the Morning Blitz. All right, let's get to break. We'll come back. Plenty of diamond action locally today on the Ball Diamonds. We'll get to that next and wrap up the show in our final segment here on a Tuesday.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
You're listening to the High Plains only local sports talk show.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The Morning Blitz.
All right, wrapping up a show here on a Tuesday. F&B Bank text line 785-899-2222. Going back to our conversation, segment number 1, Brian chiming in saying, if you were a coach and your players entered the portal and came back, would you have a different view of them as a player, like a grudge? Question. I don't know how you couldn't. I think it would be very hard, to be honest with you there, Brian, to not hold some sort of minor ill will. But I think also as a coach, you have to understand that is today's era, and the rules that have been allowed are the players are just taking advantage of it. So you really can't be too mad. You can be mad about it, like, I don't want Bryson Tiller to go. We had a great plan for him, and he needs to stick around. But you can't be mad, and you can't hold grudges. It's the same thing like in recruiting. You could really like a player and really think you recruited a kid out of high school really good, and then he automatically flips late and goes someplace, and you're looks kind of like, well, shoot, lost that guy, and you can be mad at him. But You need to keep those relationships going because there's a chance that kid could not be happy at his school and transfer back to your school. And maybe it works there. You just don't know. It'd be really hard. It'd be very hard to not hold a grudge, Brian. That is for sure. It'd be very hard, but you have to learn not to because of just the era that we are in. Real quick, before we get out of here, yesterday at Buffalo Dunes Golf Course in Garden City, Colby and Goodland boys golf teams competed for the first time this year, I believe. Goodland finishing in 5th, Colby in 6th. Cowboys close to finishing in 3rd. They were only 2 strokes away from tying for 3rd place. Colby came in 6th, 15 shots back of Goodland, kind of in a more distant 6th spot. Braylon Mole shot an 85, Trent Sheldon an 86 to finish 10th and 11th. Caleb Dixon led the Eagles with a 15th place. He shot 16 over 88. South Gray was your tournament champions there at Buffalo Dunes yesterday. Let's see here. A little bit of baseball from yesterday. We did have the Royals and the Rockies both winning. Rockies winning 9-7. A huge inning there for the Rockies. In the, the 5th inning, they scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 5th. To come back and beat the Astros 9-7. Astros did make it interesting in the final 3 out of the final 4 innings, scoring 4 runs. But Rockies hold on and get the win. Mentioned it. Big night from TJ Rumfield, Troy Johnston. Both had multiple hits and multiple RBIs. So big nights from them. And Ryan Feltner gets the win. And then the Royals get a win last night as well over Cleveland, 4-2. The final score. Couple of hits for Carter Jensen and Jonathan India each had 2 hits and each had RBI. Indian had 3 RBIs, but Jensen 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored in RBI. He got out of bed and he had a home run. Good for him. He got out of bed in time. It's a joke because he missed the game a little bit or a couple days ago because he slept in too far. Michael Wacha gets one. He was great. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. 3 walks and 3 Ks for Michael Wacha. And then real quickly, it's a busy day on the diamond today. You've got Colby High School baseball and softball at home hosting Hayes TMP for a doubleheader each. There's ought to be 2 very entertaining series, I would think. Goodland takes on Hugoton. The Cowgirls at home hosting Hugoton for softball at Ray Dye Field. Goodland baseball on the road down at Hugoton for a doubleheader. Coverage of that can be found here on Rocket 102.5 KLOE. I'll have coverage of that. We'll be heading down here later this morning. So if you can't make it down to Hugoton, you can tune in and listen here on Rocket for Goodland Cowboy Baseball. Also today, Decatur Community Baseball hosting Plainville, Colby Community College Baseball at Otero, and Fortis Tech Northwest hosting Northeastern Junior College today in other Diamond sports. Then a little bit of golf today as well. St. Francis has their golf invitational today. So does Wallace County. So lots and lots of action today on the local sports front, particularly on the ball diamond. All right, let's get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Gray? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Well, after a lengthy search, it looks like as if North Carolina has found their next head basketball coach, and it's a guy that we kind of know pretty well in our parts. Former Denver Nuggets head coach Michael Malone is going to be the new head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Kind of an unexpected hiring after a lot of searching, though there was talks for a while that it was going to be Billy Donovan, and then it went to Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, and Lloyd kind of put it off for a while. Then Arizona gave him a new contract, and then Dusty May got a new deal because I think UNC went after Dusty May. He is staying at Michigan after winning a national championship, but now it's going to be Michael Malone, who hasn't coached in college since he was an assistant in 2001 at Manhattan. He was also an assistant in the late 90s at Providence and at Oakland from in the mid-90s. So, wow. So, going back to college ball, look, Malone was great. At 10 years in Denver, he went 471 and 327. He has over 900 games coaching in the NBA, also there with the Sacramento Kings. Has an NBA title. I get all that. It's awesome. He's been an analyst at ESPN for the last year or so. I don't know how this is going to work out. if I was a UNC fan, I'd be like, I don't know how great this is going to be. But if you get the right staff around you, as long as you can, like I said, take those, they're going to go to the portal. As long as you can get those pieces and bring them together, you can win. I don't know how great of a high school recruiter he'll be. Once again, that might be on his staff to go do that. But, yeah, they took runs at Tommy Lloyd, Dusty May, and TJ Otzelberger did UNC, but no one came up, and so they go with Michael Malone. We'll see how it all pans out for UNC. This could either be a great success. I think it's either one of two things. It's either a great success or it's a massive flop. I don't think there's any in the middle with this hiring there for UNC. All right, have a great rest of your Tuesday. If you're a Goodland baseball fan, we'll talk to you this afternoon down in Hugoton and back here on the Blitz in 23 hours. Have a good one.
Rocket 102.5.